welcome to week 5 of the Chicago Clubhouse podcast. Once again, this is the sports show where we think we know what we're talking about, but we really don't know shit. Again, my name is Emilio Bucs, and joining me once again is the lady, Miss Kristen Petit. And rounding out the trio is Southside's own, the notorious TNic.
What's up?
All right, so there's just some things just never die, traditions. Okay, so let's get into some Bears football. There's just a lot of subtle things we could talk about, things that we're just going to skip over. But let me just ask you, based on what you saw last Sunday, what did you learn about this Bears offense? If anything, did you learn about this Bears offense as a whole, Kristen?
I learned that it looked exactly the same. I learned that eventually, if this continues, it'll be time to question the leader of the offense and the play calls. I learned that no matter if he has his guy or not, he still calls bad plays. And I learned that mobility is going to be needed at the quarterback position. I'm not saying run like Patrick Mahomes or even like Mitch could, but going to have to move like a Phillip Rivers and a Tom Brady did.
Just be able to slide in and out of the pocket at least.
I'm not saying Nick can't, but I think now he realizes I'm going to have to do a little more than I thought.
Mm-hmm. Well, what about you, TNic? What'd you see out there?
Well, I think first of all, they're terribly inconsistent. And it starts with none other than the coach, Matt Nagy. Then trickles down to the fake-ass offensive coordinator, but we know who's still making the play calls, Matt Nagy.
Just a puppet with Nagy's hand up his ass.
Pretty much. Then it goes to the quarterback, Nick Foles, right now, but I can't really place much blame on him because he's only been in there one game and a half or one game in a quarter. So I can't really put much blame on him, but that offensive line is terrible. Terrible. They're not creating holes for people to run. Look at last game, they only ran for like 28 yards. So, I mean, they're not creating holes. They're not creating any passing lanes so Nick Foles can actually throw the ball, set his feet. It looks bad. So I've learned that they're super inconsistent.
That's true. And, of course, there's room for improvement with that line. But, some of that I got to look at the talent of who we have running back there, too. I mean, David Montgomery is not a guy who's got that burst that can break through any kind of obstruction that's in his hole. Break through any kind of obstruction that's in his hole. And I mean, you got to have like the fucking 96 Dallas Cowboys to help him, like those Nate Newton and all those big monsters, like, because this guy is just not like a talented enough first option as a running back. And speaking of the run game, and I'm going to throw this to you, Kristen, how much does the Bears need and will need moving forward Tariq Cohen?
They definitely miss him. I'm not saying that he's that in-between tackled runner, but he did do well. And actually, before last game, David Montgomery, like the running game had been averaging pretty well. Last game was just a disaster. And it's funny how people like twist themselves in knots defending some things that are like, it's just the same. But I think they missed Tariq Cohen as far as he is an option when the play breaks down. Mm-hmm. David Montgomery can catch a screen, but none of them are shifty. Even as fast and as electric as Cordero can be, none of them have that shiftiness and can do the things Tariq can do. And when Nagy's offense is running well like it did in 2018, the Tariq Cohen was a big part of it. So And those passes are also part of the run game for them, like the screens and those little passes. So they're definitely going to miss him. But the line was opening, it was just, everything was just disheveled. I don't know what the issue was, but everyone was off. Even, Nick Foles had only been a game and a quarter and a half or whatever, but he was also missing badly. And it wasn't about the being with him long. It was just, they were just off altogether. I don't know what happened.
Right. So, like, just taking a look at what's going to happen tomorrow against a Tampa Bay defense. That's a sturdy defense. I mean, they don't have a front eight like the Colts, but they're an official defense. It's definitely not Atlanta's defense. And how do you think this offense is going to fare? Like, TNic, you really cracked down on the coaching and the play calling, and I have to agree with you. I mean, I think it's like 13, 14 run calls, so like no matter who's back there, that's just some really bad play calling. Like, are they going to be able to adjust to stand a chance against Tampa Bay, TNic?
I don't know. I honestly do not know. I don't have very much confidence in this coaching staff anymore. I don't have confidence in the offensive line. Nick Foles is still a question mark, but better than Mitchell.
That's right.
Better option than him. But I just don't really see the offense getting that much better in this one game. And, Tampa Bay's defense is not terrible. They aren't the best defense, but they aren't terrible.
Defense. No,
They're ranked number 6.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, I mean, no, they're no slouch.
They're better than the Bears.
Yeah, exactly. So, and speaking of Bears defense, what are we looking at? How do we try to contain Tom Brady somewhat? A lot of his weapons questionable. What's your thoughts on that, Kristen?
Well, like we say every week, we're a broken record. Pressure is going to be. Now, Tom Brady is a master at escaping it, but he is a little older, and he is learning a new system. Although he did ask his coach to put in some stuff that works for him, and his coach did, and he threw 5 touchdowns. Yeah. So, they're going to have to get pressure, and luckily, I don't know who's going to guard Gronk. I know they kind of shut Gronk down a little bit that last game. So I don't know, is Gronk going to be against Danny Trevathan? Then we're in trouble. So, it's getting some pressure and trying to cut out Tom Brady's outlet when he's under pressure.
So, TNic, your favorite part of the defense, the corner.
My favorite part of the defense.
The secondary.
Well, the defense is adequate right now, but I don't really think I have a favorite part. They haven't even established a real identity yet.
Do you have a least favorite part of the defense?
Least favorite part, of course, the secondary.
Right.
The secondary. And if Tampa Bay had all their weapons in, we would get sliced and diced up. But luckily for the Bears secondary, Tampa Bay is not coming in fully loaded. So, I mean, they may fare okay against Tampa Bay. They have the guy Scotty Miller, who actually is from Barrington, Illinois. And then is Mike Evans going to play?
There's Barrington.
Questionable.
Yeah, he's questionable. He's probably
Scotty was questionable.
We don't have an answer for him. We don't have an answer for Mike Evans.
Do we ever have an answer for anybody?
No, not really.
Yes, our answer is hopefully they're out that week.
Injury reports, like gold, baby. It's gold.
Yes.
And I hope he hurt.
That's what we look for, injury reports. All right. We caught another break.
Not passes. But hey, we're going to invite somebody into the clubhouse this week that's going to give us a little bit more insight on all things Bears, as well as the matchup against the Tampa Bay Bucs tomorrow night at Soldier Field. And welcoming into the clubhouse this week, we have a special guest. He is a former standout wide receiver from Boston College. He was drafted into the NFL by the Tennessee Titans in 2001. Spent some time there. He also spent some time in St. Louis when those Rams were down there. He has just been named head coach of Chicago's own Lane Tech football squad. Please give a warm clubhouse welcome to Dedrick Dewalt.
Good. Thanks for having me.
All right, Dedrick, how you doing tonight, brother?
I'm doing pretty good. And yourself? I'm glad to be here.
Hey, man.
Chicago Clubhouse, huh?
Glad to have you here, man. Thank you again for taking the time to come talk to us, man. We really do appreciate it. So, hey, man, let me just jump back in and congratulate you, man, on being named the head coach of Lane Tech football, man. That's big. Also, you're a Simeon graduate as well.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Blue and gold, baby. Simeon blue and gold.
Not all day.
Never changes. No matter where I'm at, that never changes.
All
the
right.
blood comes out. Blue and gold.
Hey, man, that's how Chicago people are. We never forget where we came from, you know what I mean? So it's great that you coming back and being able to, work with the kids like how you were at one time, some years ago. So how's it been with preparation and just dealing with being a first-year head coach in the light of COVID and, wait for it, TNic, these unprecedented times. TNic hates when I say that. So how's the workflow been? How have you been able to adapt?
It's been kind of tough.
Luckily.
It's been tough early on. We due to the COVID, many of the Chicago public school coaches cannot have contact with their kids due to COVID. By me being the first year head coach at Lane Tech, I've yet to even meet my kids yet. You know what I mean? Because of the COVID.
Right.
We've communicated through CPS email, but that's as far as we can go. As far as Zoom meetings with the kids, it's a bunch of legal technicalities we have to go through.
Yes.
CPS, because CPS considers Zoom media, so you know how the media and regulations go when it comes to kids and CPS.
Absolutely.
So we have to be very careful on how we communicate with kids from that standpoint. But as of right now, man, the kids, they've been kind of working out on their own, which I'm kind of shocked and surprised and really not used to. But those kids are working out on their own. But right now, they're just doing everything on their own. They really don't have a direction right now because they know they have a head coach, but they don't know who their head coach is. I know I have a bunch of kids at Lane Tech. I don't know who they are because I'm not unable to have any contact with them at this point. But we are communicating with the kids and me working with the athletic director to kind of make sure that the kids stay in somewhat good shape, and hopefully we can have a season this upcoming in the next couple of months.
Man, that's cool, man. You just gotta, be able to make those adjustments like we all have, obviously. You know what I mean? But hey, man, we got to keep pushing, and we have, and we're gonna keep it moving, man. And again, congratulations on that, man.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, man. No problem, man. So hey, man, let's jump into these Chicago Bears, man. Hey, man, I'm just gonna ask you straight out, like you receiver. So like, all right, who would you rather have throw to you, Mitch or Nick?
I'm gonna go with Nick Foles. And the reason why I pick Nick Foles because Nick Foles has been there before, has the confidence. He has the NFL swag of a quarterback. You know what I mean? So that's the type of quarterback that I love to have throw to me. He throws on time. He's on time with his rhythm. Footwork is pretty good, and that's nothing better for a receiver is to come out of break and that ball is right on your helmet. That's due to timing and things like that. That's why I would choose Nick Foles. I think Mitchell Trubisky has the talent. He's not there yet. He's obviously not there yet. So the Bears are in the win now stage because of that defense. So we need the best quarterback out there, and I think Nick Foles is the man right now.
Absolutely. So, Kristen, I think you had some things that you wanted to talk to Dedrick about.
Okay, so you chose Nick. Okay.
Which we expect.
The eye roll.
So since you chose Nick, one of the things that they talk about is he gets rid of the ball quickly. And with the wide receivers for the Bears, one of their biggest knocks against them is getting that separation, that they don't get much separation. So how does it affect wide receivers getting separation if the ball is coming out so quickly? Do they have time, or how do you adjust as a wide receiver to make sure you can still get that separation needed?
Well, I mean, it just it's all about technique, right? You know what I mean? So the Bears really have a lot of small wide receivers with the exception of Robinson. You know, he's probably the biggest receiver that the Bears have. So for Robinson, he can just muscle his way through. You know what I mean? For the smaller receivers, they got to use technique. They have to use good releasing skills to make sure they can get to the routes on time before those quick throws. Because the third step, the ball is taught by the quarterback to be out of his hand. The quarterback is not trained to, especially with the type of quarterback that we have. We don't have mobile quarterbacks where they can pump fake, pull the ball down and run. We don't have those type of quarterbacks. A lot of the Bears' offense is timing. Everything is timing. And if you can't beat the jam or if you're not using the right technique on the route, you can throw a three-step drop-off real quickly because you don't have the size of the Allen Robinson where you could just bully a defensive back and get in front of him and catch the ball. You know, most of the Chicago Bears receivers, with the exception of Robinson, are pretty small. So these DBs can get them hands on them because they can disrupt a lot of things as far as route combinations and so forth.
Thank you. And congratulations.
Thank you.
So Darnell Mooney, he's a pretty small guy, real speedy, and I know you can relate to that because you're not super tall, but you're fast, super fast.
Well, I was fast, but I'm not fast anymore. So.
I don't know about that, man. You might be able to outrun a few people still. So I'm wondering if you were talking to Darnell Mooney right now, and you were to give him advice, what would that be?
For me, it's just for him to just keep working. For me, watching the 4 games that they have played, he's kind of been the second best receiver next to Allen Robinson. He's making a lot of plays. He's shifty. He seems like he can run every route in the route tree. Just for him, it's just for him to keep grinding, get stronger and keep grinding, getting better. And hopefully we can get a good quarterback that can help develop him as well, because good quarterback play does help develop good wide receiver play. You know what I mean? So that would be one of the things I have for Mooney. Just keep grinding, because it seems like the sky's the limit for him. I'd be very impressed. I'm very impressed with the games that I've seen from him. He catches the ball strong. He goes up on DBs and catches the ball. Seems like he can run every route that's known to a receiver. So the sky's the limit. It's just about how hard he's going to continue to work, him not escaping the grind, and the sky's the limit. And the Bears getting a better quarterback, the sky's the limit.
So it sounds to me like you're saying that Nick Foles is probably a better quarterback for Darnell's development.
Yeah, without a doubt. Like I just think for Mitchell Trubisky, I just don't think he's ready. Then I don't think he has the right coach to develop him along as well. You know, I thought Matt Nagy was that coach, but the last 2 years has kind of shown me a lot. And even with the games within the last couple of weeks, everyone thought it was Mitchell Trubisky. We get Nick Foles in, and he did worse than Mitchell Trubisky. We only scored 11 points the last game. So I think that kind of goes from the quarterbacks, from the players. Now we got to start looking at the coaching staff, which I think should be the next step in the Bears brass, to start looking at this coaching staff. But to answer your question, yes, I would choose Nick Foles because, like I said, he's a proven winner. He's more of a traditional quarterback, per se, versus Mitchell Trubisky. You know what I mean? So I would say Nick Foles, yes. I think Nick Foles will develop all the receivers as they get that chemistry.
Okay. Well, speaking of traditional winning quarterbacks, let's talk about tomorrow night's matchup against Tom Brady.
Look at that smile. Oh, this must be his guy.
Yeah, the GOAT. The GOAT. Yeah. Go come to Chicago. I'm telling you, if it wasn't for COVID,
we're going to have to cut you off with that kind of talk.
Hey, if it wasn't for COVID, I would be at Soldier Field tomorrow night. I promise you that.
Oh, man.
I traveled to Houston.
For the Bears, for Brady.
Yeah. I traveled to Houston last year to see Tom play. We got blew out. But if he was playing, if COVID wasn't here, you best to believe I would have been at that game tomorrow night. Come hell or high water. Go ahead. I'm sorry for interrupting.
It's all good, man. It's all good, man. We don't discriminate, you know, as long as you didn't say like.
That's my man. When you mention Tom Brady, you know, man, the smile comes to my face.
All his whole energy changed.
I know, man.
You know?
Hey, that's the GOAT.
Like, there was not one smile.
All right.
He was like,
focus.
Terrence, you sound like a hater, man. You sound like a hater. You sound like a TB12 hater.
A bit, yes.
Oh
Is
man,
Tom terrific to you?
One smile and the other one's angry.
I know.
Oh.
And I'm seeing him on like opposite screen. So hey man, Brady, he's got a lot of weapons. Talking about receivers. Now, how do you think those receivers are going to fare against the Bears, and how Brady's going to fare against this Bears defense? Like, I know a couple of their like main receivers are questionable, so I guess that'll be kind of a game time decision. But
I know OJ Howard too. They tight end blew out his Achilles last week, but I think Godwin is coming back tomorrow, and we're still going to have the big fella on the other side. So I think tomorrow's probably going to be a rough night for the Bears DBs. And not just saying because I'm a Tom Brady or Tampa Bay fan, but I just like the matchups as far as with the Tampa Bay wide receivers and tight ends. I think they're just more superior than the defensive backs. They are bigger. They're just as fast. It's going to be a lot of jump balls tomorrow that I think the Bears are going to lose. So we're going to see. We're going to see. And I think a lot in having a quarterback like Tom Brady like that speaks volumes. You know what I'm saying? Like he knows what you lining up being defensively, probably better than the Bears' own defensive coordinator.
Yeah,
so
I mean the guy was winning Super Bowls when half the team was like in grade school.
Exactly. See, man, you on the same page, and I be telling people that man was winning Super Bowl with trash receivers.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Tom Brady can make anyone look like a good receiver. It's amazing.
Sure.
And I'm not a Tom Brady fan, but it is amazing when Joe Schmo is catching 3 touchdowns. Like, who the hell are you? And how
back the groceries last week.
I've been saying it for years, and people, man, it's the system. I said,
hey,
it's the system.
You're killing me.
System. No, it's not the system. Players make systems. Never forget that.
Well, hey,
players make systems.
Well, this is a prove year for Brady because now it's time to prove that he could win without Belichick. And throwing 5 touchdowns in one game he seems like, oh yeah, he's good even without Belichick. Sorry, Terrence. Terrence is looking quite.
Let's get to these Bears because he's starting to get in his feelings now, and I already know how he feels about Tom Brady. So I mean, I don't. We don't need that type of energy on the show, Terrence. Gee,
we'll keep it back.
Let me ask you. So you saw the game last week.
Yeah,
and the Bucs, their defense is like number 2 behind the Colts, so they're a good defense. But that young quarterback was able, to do well. Is it because he's able to move around? Is that what made him successful? And how is that going to set up? What is that going to look like for Nick Foles, who's not mobile?
Well, I think for the quarterback from San Diego, I think he created a lot of plays with his feet, like you alluded to. When you have a quarterback that's mobile and still can throw the ball downfield, that breaks down the defense a lot. You know what I mean? Because, it's a certain containment areas that the defense have to pay attention to. And once a quarterback breaks that contain, and everything else just flows, plays just open up downfield because the defense gets out of character. None of the quarterbacks tomorrow are going to be scrambling anywhere. So it's just going to come down to which offensive line could protect, the quarterback the best. You know what I mean? I think Nick Foles, he probably could struggle tomorrow because, like I say, Tampa Bay do have a good defense. But that pass rush is not where I thought it would be. You know what I mean? I think they cause a lot of turnovers, Tampa Bay does. But I really don't see them having a big pass rush. But like I said, if the receivers can win down the field, it's a good chance that Nick Foles probably have a clean jersey by the end of the night because he do get rid of the ball quick.
Mm-hmm.
So how hard is that? Bobby Massey and Charles Leno, though. It's not that hard.
Yeah, well, that's true. We do have a bad offensive line, but Tampa Bay's offensive line is even worse. So the Bears should have a good night defensively too. But you playing against the GOAT, he's gonna figure it out. He's gonna throw for 400 yards, 6 touchdowns, and no interceptions.
He's also the master of just stepping up slightly and buying himself 3 seconds. He doesn't really even have to run. He just steps up 3 more seconds to throw.
Pocket presence. It's called pocket presence. But I think Nick Foles have that too. I think he have because we all know once Nick Foles get hot, he can take you to a Super Bowl. It's proven.
True.
It's proven.
I've seen him do it against your guy.
Yeah, against him. So if Foles can get hot, because I do, I'm not a real big on the Bears receiving core, but I don't think they're the worst. I think they do have some talent. I think they're going to get better as the season go on. But you can't have a, carousel of quarterbacks either. If you're going to go with Nick Foles, you got to let Nick Foles stay in the game, that chemistry. But I'm looking for a good, entertaining game tomorrow. You know, Tampa Bay 40, Bears 24.
Oh man,
40.
brother.
Yeah.
You must have some interceptions or turnovers.
Pick sixes?
No, yeah, I mean,
Wow.
yeah.
Straight 40 from the offense?
Look, Tom Brady has been rolling the last 2 weeks. I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you. Because you know the thing.
Defense. That is
that's
disrespectful.
But here go the thing. The Bears defense ain't played well all year. They haven't played well. The Bears defense haven't played well all year.
They played okay.
I think this definitely is their best quarterback that you're ready to face.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think it's also a matter of when your offense struggles so mightily, which our offense has, even being 3-1, well, the defense still can't look as good as they could if we were able to put some points on the board. I mean, behind, you know,
keep them off the field.
Yeah, you know. So
I agree. I agree with you all saying.
I mean, look, we're like
a lot of Pro Bowlers on that defense.
We're still like number 4th ranked defense. I mean, we've given up less than 20 a game in 4 games. I mean, that's a good defense.
But even watching those games, could you honestly say that the Bears defense played well? I haven't seen a game where they just played like the Chicago Bears defense supposed to play, where you have all those Pro Bowlers on defense. Have they really played well this year? Because Detroit should have beat them, drop touchdown. New York Giants should have beat them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The Colts beat them. And who was the last team that they struggled with as well? They just beat?
Oh, well, they came back against Atlanta, you know.
Come on, man. Right, that's what I'm saying. That Bears, I understand what you're saying, but I just don't think that Bears defense is playing up to his capabilities, because let's be honest, this team was built on defense. This team was built for the defense to carry him through.
Always.
And with the exception of us playing some terrible teams in the beginning, man, let's just call a spade a spade.
TNic said it when we were 3-0. He's like, 2 or 3 different plays go the other way, we could be 0-3 real easy. You know, hey man, it is what it is. We have 8 decent, serviceable defense who is really good in the red zone. I know it's easier to be good in the red zone than across the field, but you know, they've been able to hold a lot of teams to field goals that were otherwise been touchdowns. So, I mean, a little toxic positivity for you.
No. Hey, look, I was still, if I was choosing a fantasy team, the Bears defense would be top 5 for me. No doubt. They have too much star power on defense to not be good. So.
All right, man. Well, I feel like this might be a good time to end it, because you said one positive thing about the Bears. And, I would like you to leave on a high. And I don't want to keep you on there, brother, but hey, man, it's been great talking to you, man. It's been great having some insight, you know, from a professional. You know what I mean? We think we know what we're talking about, but you know, us 3, we don't really know shit. You know what I mean? So that's what we bring you on.
Me neither.
Man, Dedrick Dewalt, my brother, appreciate you coming on, man, and I hope to have you on here again, man. Like when
I'll be glad to. Thanks for having me.
Playoffs, yeah, man.
Okay, well, man, bring me back on, and I definitely appreciate the opportunity. Take care.
All right, man. Take care, brother.
All right, brother.
Peace.
Bye.
And all right, once again, back here in the Chicago Clubhouse, thanks to Dedrick Dewalt for joining us. A lot of good information and insight from a professional football player. So let's, because we don't know shit. We ain't played. I mean, I was decent. I played Pee Wee football, you know, like Country Club Hills Cougars, baby. Anybody out?
They're my pro.
All right. Why you gotta one up me? Yeah, it was not semi-pro. It was just semi. So,
that's not what they called it.
Right.
Yeah, I can throw a spiral, but that's it.
All right. Got the little flick. All right, so let's switch it up a little bit, because this is a show about all things Chicago sports, not just Bears. Let's talk about those Bulls right now. Had you know, some things on the wire recently about some possible trades and bringing in some much needed veteran point guard and veteran leadership to this young core. I think rumors of Chris Paul trade has a relationship with Billy Donovan, obviously. Kristen, what are the details on that proposed trade?
Well, it was just, a lot of people are thinking about Chris Paul. There was a rumor that maybe the Bucs would think about it because they're missing someone who can create. And so the Bulls, with, retooling, getting a new coach, getting a new identity, getting new life, they know what they need is a veteran point guard to help Kobe White, but also be a presence on the bench possibly. Not necessarily to take a starting job, but what's been missing for the Bulls is scoring off that bench. That is one of the main reasons why Kobe White had to stay on the bench. And then I think for a little while when Otto Porter was okay, he came off the bench sometimes, and then they had Thad Young. Many people came off the bench who could score, but they really, to me, I think they need that point guard to not only mentor, but also to provide some sort of punch off the bench.
Now, if you bring in a guy like Chris Paul, and I'm going to kick this to you, TNic, because I know how high you are on Kobe. It seems like he's the type of guy who's going to still demand that he starts, whether he deserves it or not.
Yeah, I think so. I think he would demand to start, and Kobe's ready. Kobe needs to be starting. He should have been starting before, but they don't need to bring in Chris Paul. He's an old dude, man, and he's washed. At least to me, I think he's washed. Kobe's ready. He needs to start.
I mean, yeah. I don't know.
Some people thought Chris Paul was washed, and he did pretty good with that team.
Yeah, I mean, he pushed that OKC team way further than everybody thought. Yes, he is old.
He's old, but I mean,
but he's still fairly effective, and he still can start deservingly on many NBA squads.
And I'm sure he thinks that.
Well,
I certainly don't. I think Kobe is ready.
Oh no, I believe you. I think Kobe's ready to start too, but I think that you have a hard time convincing Chris Paul, to take a back seat to Kobe. And I would understand Chris Paul's reasoning behind that. I don't think he's declined that much that he would be backing up a guy like Kobe yet. But now, speaking of a guy who wouldn't perhaps push to be starting in that point guard position, rumors about Derrick Rose. Like every year, there's rumors about him returning to Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
What were those details, Kristen? I think you knew some stuff about that.
So there's been proposed trades that would bring Derrick and Blake Griffin here, and I believe Otto Porter and someone else that wouldn't be a terrible loss, would be going back to Detroit. And considering Derrick he's very much so likes his role off the bench. He's still averaging 18 points per game, which is better than a lot of point guards. And he and the front office, everyone has made amends. Some of the people who caused the problems are no longer there. So, I mean, it wouldn't be. And then that would be the punch off of the bench that could work out. Will it happen? Probably not. But it's just been a rumor of getting someone similar to that, someone who has accepted their role coming off the bench, who is very good with people and with players, and players are drawn to him no matter sometimes what you hear, but whenever you talk to a player, they all love him. And he can still give you 18 points off the bench and can create a shot and create shots for other people. So he would be good. Not saying he would come here, but you could look for someone like him.
Okay, so you try to separate the nostalgia, TNic. You know what I mean? Because maybe there's part of us that be like, yeah, I'd like to see D Rose back in the Bulls uniform. Like, what do you think about that, TNic? Is it a fit? Does it make sense though?
You honestly want to hear what I think about that? No,
I don't know.
Derrick Rose don't need to come to Chicago. He had his time in Chicago. That was great, but nah, he's almost washed too. Not quite, but he's almost washed too. So no, let's just go with the new blood that we have. Some of the new blood that we have, because some of them we got to get rid of.
Man, you hard on these old niggas.
Man.
This new blood, there's only one new blood that's a point guard. I'm not even saying for Derrick, just period.
Well, I'm talking about just the new blood on the team. I mean, Wendell, he's still like new blood. You would consider him new blood, although he's been there a couple of years.
Yeah, and we can't get a season. Like, it's
Yeah,
crazy.
put together.
You don't know what you have in him or Laurie or Hutchinson, because they can never make it through a season, and you always see potential. But so that's another reason why they need to work on their depth. And that's going to be some veterans, because most of the veterans that are good and can give you some real points, they'll be willing to accept their role, help mentor some of these people that can play less minutes. Maybe that will help them with their injury woes. But, you need depth because you don't have the healthiest team on the planet. You have Zach LaVine, who hasn't been hurt since then, really, and you have Kobe White, but everybody else gets hurt every other day. Shaq Harrison can't be your number one point guard coming off the bench because he's not going to give you the points you need. He's going to give you a highlight play once in a while.
Right.
But, no matter who it is, I'm not saying it has to be Derrick Rose or Blake Griffin or Chris Paul, but get someone who can give you that type of production. They need production if they want to go to the playoffs.
It just sounds like we're in for another long bull season whenever that starts. Okay, so let's just switch gears and just and this will be the last we speak of them for a while. Just a quick rest in peace to MLB baseball in Chicago. Just a week ago, shit was all good. Now, nah, not so much. I will say Sox early exit. I predicted it. I'm not the type of person that likes to say I told you so. No, I'm totally the person who likes to say I told you so. Because I blame this on Ricky Rentería and his absolute abhorrent, miserable, just awful management of his pitching staff.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking about this back in July or August when we blew the sweep against the Cubs. When was that, Kristen? That wasn't the last series we played, but it was, maybe like a month ago. You know what I mean? It was Ricky Rentería, just a bonehead. And I don't know what kind of pictures or something Don Cooper has on Kenny Williams or something, how he's like, he has outlasted like every skipper for the past 30 years. So like,
It's going to be nuclear war. It's going to be Cooper and roaches. That's it. That's all that.
Yeah, like what the hell? Like, like, hey, he's the Doug Collins. He's the point A to B guy. He's not going to get you to C.
Right.
So just like with the Cubs.
I was about to say he was Ricky Rentería on the Cubs.
He is the Ricky Rentería of the Cubs, which is the same guy. He's the same guy. And it's time for him to go. I love what he's done. He's hung in there. He's been a good mentor while this young crew has grown of age. Like, talks of Theo's imminent, exit from the Cubs, Kristen, like.
Well, Ricketts has already said he'll be here till the end of his contract, so he'll be here.
So that's like one more year, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
They don't have their minor leagues aren't good. They're getting better, but they're so far like single A, barely double A. So they're not ready, not even close to being ready. They don't really have anyone who can bring back anything in a trade, and you don't want to get rid of everyone. So if you don't sign or you trade Chris Bryant or, and all these other people, well, you can't also get rid of Javi Baez because now who are you watching in this? Jason Hayward.
Are we talking about a possible rebuild?
Yeah. Jason Hayward, Ian Happ only good for 60 games. That's why they were good this year because Jason Hayward's always good the first half of a season, and then it's Jason Hayward time. They can't do anything with him because he's making so much money.
Hell of a speed.
Kyle Schwarber, they held onto him too long. He's not even showing that he can really be a DH if you look at what he did this year. And since the World Series, Bryant, Baez, and Rizzo have been garbage, and Schwarber. Like, they've been garbage offensively in playoffs since the World Series. So there's a lot of work to be done. You really only have 2 pitchers you can count on. They're thinking about bringing back John Lester. Why? Okay, his time is done. So, I mean, you really only have you and Kyle Hendricks. Tyler Chatwood, he was all right. Then he got hurt. Jose Quintana got hurt. He was all right. So, I mean, you can keep him, but there's a lot of work to be done. And if the Ricketts don't open up their wallets, I don't see how Theo can do anything.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a feeling you may be in for a possible rebuild. I hate to say it. I don't even want to see it. I'm a Sox fan, but I don't even want to see a rebuild.
I mean, a retool, okay, but
but it's kind of hard because, like you said, who are you going to retool around when guys are struggling so mightily offensively? You know, Rizzo, again, the baggy uniform. What the fuck? Like looking like, you know, shoeless Joe out there with the baggy boy. Dude, eat a steak. Hit a home run.
Terrible offensively.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what happened. So, but hey, would you trade it for the World Series that you got? Would you trade Theo and he depleted your farm system? Would you trade it for that World Series?
No, I'm fine because I got the World Series.
There you go. So,
but they also, and this is kind of like Theo's thing because the same thing happened with Boston.
Mm-hmm.
They held on to people too long. Like they held on to Addison Russell too long.
Mm-hmm.
They held on to Kyle Schwarber too long. So, while yes, everything that they did to get there was all right, but it's like they kept thinking, all right, we can do this again. No, I mean, it was, you know, there was a rain delay. That's why we got the World Series when we got it, because the situational hitting has been bad since Theo's been there. You know, Ben Zobrist was your situational hitter. Other than that.
Yeah, and that's just a weird situation that happened with him.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you totally, there was that window to like be able to get something back for Kyle, and they
chose not to because they kept hoping that he was going to return to what he did in those playoffs in the World Series.
Yeah, I mean, you know, that's not a reason to hold on to a guy that you can't put in the outfield or in the infield, you know, in the NL, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So that's an issue. You can't, and that's a Chicago issue. When you think about all the teams, we hold on to people too long.
Or we get them way after they're
no, and then we don't want them to just come in and be a piece when they're no good. We want them to
be there in their prime.
Yes.
Which they hadn't been in like 5 years prior. But hey, this is why we're here. Chicago sports at its finest and its worst, one and the same. And so before we take off, predictions for our Thursday night national Bears game. That always kind of worries me, the national game. TNic, what you got?
As much as it pains me to say this.
Don't tell me that Tampa putting up 40. Your man said they're putting up 40 up.
No, not 40. But I will say 24. 24-7.
Ooh.
Tampa.
Bears only getting 7?
Only getting 7 points. Only getting 7.
So back-to-back home games, less than 20 points. Well,
I mean, yeah. Based on what I've seen in the last game, yeah, it's gonna be that. It's gonna be
last week and only 7 this week. Kristen, where are you at on this?
You know, everyone knows episode 5. You know, I'm Team Mitchell, but this is Nick's coming out party. I got the Bears winning, not by a lot, and not scoring a lot. But I have the Bears winning 17-14.
Holding Brady. Okay, so we're expecting that whole wide receiver core to be out for Tampa, which is they're all questionable. So we might be able to hold the 14.
You know, the defense does play down or up to their competition. This is their best quarterback. Phillip Rivers is nice, but he's no Tom Brady.
He's not.
And I expect, I could be very wrong with my score. I'm not wrong with who's going to win the game.
Okay.
Man, I certainly hope you're right.
And you know I'm Team Mitchell, but this is going to be Nick's coming out party.
Okay. So I feel you on that. I'm going to go up until this very moment, and TNic, you know this, I was definitely saying Tampa. But I'm going to flip-flop, and I'm going to say Bears 24-21.
I hope you're right. I hope you're right.
If we're wrong, TNic's going to have something to say again.
I hope I'm wrong. No, I'm not going to have anything to say. Yeah, I'm going to have something to say. Yeah.
As you should, and I would hope so. Well, once again, thank you all for tuning in and watching Week 5 of the Chicago Clubhouse podcast. My name is Emilio Bucs, signing off for Kristen Petit and the notorious TNic.